My Life with Lizzie. It all started during the summer of 1951. I found myself with some extra time to kill. I would be starting medical school in the fall, but in mid-August, when my old Stanford roommate invited me to spend a couple of weeks in Washington, D.C., I jumped at it. I hadn't been east before, and there would be lots to see. My first weekend there, my friend had to attend a conference of some sort with his father, so he lent me his convertible. I was cruising past the Jefferson Memorial when I noticed a young woman pacing back and forth, looking agitated. I braked to a stop, calling over to her, "Can I help you?" Glancing over her shoulder, as though to see if she were being followed, she strode quickly up to the car, jerked open the passenger side door, and climbed in. "Yes, you can," she said. "Take me to Mount Vernon. I want to see it." "Your wish is my command," I shot back, and off we went. As we drove south along the tree-lined roadway, she told me that her name was Beth, that she was visiting Washington for a week or so with her parents. The trip had something to do with her father's business. Their home was London. I had already noted her strong English accent. It was late in the afternoon by the time we finished our tour of Mount Vernon. During those few hours, we had become friends. I found her easy to talk to, and although she was 3 or 4 years older than I, we seemed to have a lot in common. She had an air of composure and confidence about her that I found most appealing. So I was delighted when she suggested that we try to find a country inn of some sort nearby where we could have supper together. And I was even more delighted when, over our second bottle of wine, Beth commented about the charm of the place, wondering whether they might have a vacant room in which we could spend the night together. The next 3 days were like a dream. I told her all about my plans for becoming a doctor, but, I added, I could change my mind if I find I don't like it. I could be anything I want. We all can. She was reticent about sharing her plans for the future, saying only that her life work was already prepared for her. I gathered that she was expected to take over her father's business at some time in the future. "I don't have the freedom you have," was all she would say when I persisted in my thesis that she, like I, could do whatever she wanted. "You just don't understand," she insisted. "It's different for me." I dropped the subject and we returned to the nonverbal communication in which we had discovered we were so compatible. After an idyllic 3 days, our dream date came to an end. We both had to return to D.C. I needed to return my friend's car. Beth was sure that her family was probably beginning to worry, and besides that, they were scheduled to return soon to London. I dropped her off at the same spot in which we first met. Her last look into my face was one of pleasure mixed with regret. She held my eyes for a long, sad moment, then turned and walked briskly away, looking like a true lady. The memory of my dream date with Beth faded inexorably over the next several months, as I quickly was consumed by the demands of my first year in med school. Early the following February, however, I was stunned to see her picture on the front page of our local newspaper. It was placed just below the 2-inch headline, which read, King George VI of England dies. Princess Elizabeth ascends the throne. Our intimate conversation in the bedroom of that country inn flashed back through my mind. Now, finally, I understood what she had meant about her life work, her lack of choice in the matter. Elizabeth's coronation was held more than a year later, on June the 2nd, 1953. It was surely the event of the decade, perhaps of the century. I was sorely tempted to go, but in the end, I didn't. Perhaps I feared that if Elizabeth were to catch sight of me standing in the crowd, she might be tempted to flee once again from the confinement of her preordained life. And this time, there would really be hell to pay. The end.